Hi everyone, it's John Mitchell. In today's video, we're going to go through performance management, which is the process used to evaluate and improve individual and overall business performance. So we've gone through before objectives and have said that individual objectives should be aligned with business objectives so that if the employee is achieving their objectives, then the business is performing well and achieving theirs. Now then, performance management is about continually evaluating against those objectives, whether it be evaluating the overall business performance or the individual performance. Now there's a number of performance management strategies that can be used, and some of them are listed specifically in your study design, and they're the ones we're going to go through today. The first one is called Management by Objectives, which is a program where the manager and employees collaboratively set clear objectives. Those objectives are set with the employee and are in line with the overall business objectives, and then the employees evaluated and provided feedback on their performance against those objectives. So if you look at the diagram there, at the top, the business would set their goals first, then individual goals would be set for the employee, and they're collaboratively set. So the employee still has some involvement in what the goals are, but they must be in line with the business goals. That's why the collaboration is important there. Then they go out and perform, and that performance is monitored regularly. The employees provided feedback, and then if they perform really well, they may be rewarded or recognized, or if not, they may be corrective action taken, and they may identify that the employee needs to be trained or reevaluate the objectives that have been set. Next is performance appraisal, and a performance appraisal measures an employee's performance, provides feedback, and then develops new objectives for the employee. It is often done every 12 months, so once a year, often an employee will be appraised. It can provide feedback on the performance to the employee so they know how they're traveling. Also sets new goals for the employee. A performance appraisal can help determine whether an employee is promoted, whether they're demoted, or even terminated if the performance has been really poor over a long period of time, and also determines the training needs for the employee if it's notified or they've identified that there's been a lack of skills and experience and the objectives haven't been achieved, or if they're going to be promoted, they may see that they need to undertake some further training so that they can take on greater responsibility. Now, just some different methods of conducting a performance appraisal. One is the essay method, which is where the manager would write down notes on the employee, so it's sort of a long extended response on the performance of the employee. There's a rating scale, which is more obviously quantitative data, where they're looking at just rating the employee on different criteria, say on 1 to 5 or on a scale of 1 to 10. And then there's the critical incident method, where any critical incidents or serious incidents that have happened over a period of time for the employee are recorded and noted down how they performed and what happened and those types of things, and then those incidents are discussed. So they're just some of the methods. There's a lot of different methods that businesses use, but they're just some of the common performance appraisal methods that can be used. Self-evaluation is where an employee assesses their own performance related to predetermined objectives. So once they know their objectives, they then go out and perform and then give their own evaluation. That can then create open dialogue with the manager so that the manager can look and see how the employee feels like they've been traveling, and also they can provide their own feedback as well, which can also highlight any needs for training that the employee feels would be helpful, because now that the employee is more heavily involved in evaluating themselves, it's important that ongoing documentation is conducted, because if this is done every 12 months, it's very difficult for an employee to know what they did say 8 or 9 months ago and remember that. So it's important, if they are self-evaluating, that a regular journal or some kind of documentation is kept ongoing so that the employee doesn't just remember the last 2 weeks and how they've performed. They can remember all the good things and the things they needed to improve on over a period of time. The last one is employee observation, which is where an employee's performance is evaluated by watching them in action. So observations should be performed regularly, so it's not just a one-off, and because you could get an employee on a great day or a really poor day. One of the common ways of doing this is called 360-degree feedback. That's one particular strategy that's used. It's a really common form of observation where the manager performing or doing the evaluation will actually talk to a number of stakeholders that have involvement with that employee, and so for example, their peers, they would have observed the employee and getting the feedback from them. It might be from a line manager or the direct manager. They would observe them and getting then their feedback. Also maybe customers, getting feedback from customers who have had direct relationship with the employee. So it's getting a full rounded view of the full employee performance, rather than just getting feedback from one particular person, and that can be a more, I suppose, fair way of evaluating an employee's performance. So they're just some of the methods or some of the strategies that can be used for performance management. So any performance management strategy that is conducted, it's really important that those strategies are conducted in a fair manner. Employees should be clear about their objectives so they know exactly what it is they need to achieve. They should then know exactly how they're going to be assessed. The evaluation should be conducted regularly, so the employee, you get a full picture of how the employee is performing, not just in one critical incident or one particular incident. It's over a period of time, and the feedback should be based on performance, not the personal feelings of the manager towards the employee. It should be based on particular performance so that it is done fairly, because if it's not done fairly, it can cause some real problems and anxiety and disputes and things like that, or low morale, poor satisfaction, and hurt the relationships between the manager and the employees if it's not done fairly. So it's critical that it is done so. So just to recap, performance management is the process used to sort of set objectives, evaluate and improve individual and business performance, and the strategies we went through today were the management by objectives, performance appraisals, self-evaluation and employee observation, and each one of those is listed in your study design. So for questions, activities, and to find out more about a Unit 4 and exam preparation lectures, then always come on over to teachingbubble.com.